Oh, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for watching THV 11 News at noon. I'm Amanda Yeager. Let's start the second half of your Thursday with a first look at our weather forecast. We have meteorologist Corrales Ortiz joining us. Well, it's nice out there now, Corrales, but all of that may change as we get into the late evening hours.
Oh yeah, I gotta quickly change. It's already starting to change for parts of the state, especially toward north, because they're already starting to see some of those showers and storms roll through. We'll see more of that later again this evening. So just wanted to go ahead and just show you what we're looking at outside right now. We've been dealing just with the mixture of the sun and clouds. So yes, off to a great start today. And it's very hot out there already. Temperatures are already sitting in the upper 80s here in the metro. Look at that. Camden already reached 90 degrees, a little bit cooler to our north and west. They're still seeing a little bit more of that cloud cover. Again, a little bit more of those showers rolling on through. Producing some lightning as well for northwest Arkansas. So this is just the start of what we'll expect to see become more widespread as a line of showers and storms pushes on through as early as this evening. Again, it's just going to kick off this afternoon with a medium risk for some strong to severe storms to our north and west. We're under a low risk, but we can easily see damaging winds being a main impact. Will not rule out isolated risk for a tornado or two, especially in western Arkansas. So I'll talk more about the impacts, what we can expect with this event in the next look at the forecast just ahead.
Crews are still out working to fix a major pothole on I-30. RDOT closed the interstate this morning to make the emergency repairs on the bridge that passes over Arch Street. We have a crew following this story, and we'll have more coming up tonight at 5 and 6. The nation mourns another mass shooting, this one at a rail yard in San Jose, California. 9 people are dead and several others are wounded as work begins to find out why 57-year-old Sam Cassidy allegedly opened fire on his co-workers before taking his own life. Shots rang out at the Valley Transportation Authority at around 6:30 in the morning Wednesday as workers were changing shifts. Shortly before the suspect allegedly began shooting, a fire erupted at his home. Police suspect arson and later found hundreds of rounds of ammunition inside. And the latest deadly mass shooting is once again renewing calls for Congress to pass legislation to end gun violence. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
Flags have been lowered to half staff at the White House in memory of those killed in Wednesday's deadly mass shooting in San Jose. President Biden in a statement urged Congress to take immediate action to end gun violence, saying every life that's taken by a bullet pierces the soul of our nation. We can and we must do more.
There's a sameness to this, and that numbness, I think, is something we're all feeling.
California's Governor Gavin Newsom didn't mince his words as he expressed his anger and frustration at yet another deadly shooting.
It begs the damn question, what the hell's going on in the United States of America? What the hell's wrong with us?
Some members of Congress hope this latest gun violence spurs them into action.
The time is now, and I am ready for a vote.
But judging by a Senate committee hearing on gun violence in March, the parties remain far apart on this issue.
Every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where this committee gets together and proposes a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders.
This is a preventable epidemic. We've got to solve it.
Chris Brown is the president of the gun control group Brady and says the pressure is on the Senate.
What do you think it takes to spark some sort of substantial reform?
Look, I think we're very close to seeing substantial reform happen, but I think it's going to take an awakening of a few members in the Senate.
There have been 62 mass shootings just this month alone, according to Gun Violence Archive, which defines a mass shooting as 4 or more people shot or killed other than the shooter. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The House passed a bill expanding background checks in March, but it has stalled in the Senate. For the second time in many days, a federal lawsuit is being brought against the state of Arkansas. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, along with Planned Parenthood, suing the state over the near-total ban on abortion signed into law back in March. In a statement, officials with the ACLU say the law violates the Constitution and nearly 5 decades of binding Supreme Court precedent that protects the right for an abortion. Republican Senator Jason Rapert wrote Senate Bill 6, which is now Act 309. He says he expected this lawsuit.
was meant to be a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade. And as predicted, they've sued. And frankly, that just means we have a quicker opportunity than expected for the bill to make its way to the United States Supreme Court. We want to ban abortion now, except to save the life of a mother.
The law, which is set to go into effect on July 28th, bans all abortions except those to protect the life of the mother and leaves no exceptions for victims of rape or incest. Those who oppose the law say it's not only harmful to the woman, but also the child. Moving forward, Senator Rapert says his bill has backing from his peers, co-workers, and thousands of Arkansans. Tuesday, the ACLU filed a lawsuit challenging Arkansas's ban that directly impacts transgender youth. The law, which also goes into effect July 28th, bans doctors from providing gender-affirming hormone treatment, puberty blockers, or surgery to anyone under 18. And Little Rock police are investigating late-night shootings in multiple locations that left at least one person dead. Several people were also hurt, and detectives spent the night combing through 2 crime scenes. Little Rock police say it started with a shooting on the 5200 block of South University near Mablevale Pike. A caller said 2 cars, a white one and silver one, looked to be having an issue, which led to a crash at the location. The second scene was at our community market on Wright Avenue and Battery. Again, this all happened around 8:30, 9 o'clock last night on University, and University was closed in both directions while investigators were on scene. The investigation extended to our community market on Wright Avenue. That's where police found 2 shooting victims inside a silver sedan suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. They were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. Later, police got a call from a hospital about a shooting victim who arrived to the ER in a white Camry. One occupant of that vehicle, 18-year-old Caleb Sykes of North Little Rock, died from his injuries. The driver of the car was unharmed. Police are still investigating to figure out what happened. In a matter of hours, what was known as Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma was decimated. A seemingly innocent incident in an elevator set off what would become one of the nation's worst incidents of racial violence. However, for decades, what happened in Tulsa wasn't discussed. CBS's Danya Backus takes a look at what was lost and how the history was suppressed.
It's hard to put a price tag on all that was lost in Tulsa, Oklahoma's Greenwood district, known as Black Wall Street, between May 31st and June 1st, 1921. White mob violence destroyed nearly every building, including my family's Dreamland Theater. The exact number of the dead, still unknown to this day, because the bodies of those killed were buried in mass graves.
There was no way to account for or provide recompense for the lives lost and the trauma that was suffered.
Black residents, including my family, filed more than $1 million in insurance claims. All of the claims were denied.
They had followed sort of the dream of American entrepreneurship that had been taken from them in this brutal act of racist violence.
Victor Lukerson is a journalist and author researching the Tulsa Race Massacre.
And they still sort of thought or hoped that the law would ultimately provide them some level of recompense. When that did not happen,
the courts decided insurance companies did not have to pay because of a clause saying they weren't responsible for loss caused by a riot. Just like the lawsuits were dismissed, so was any memory of the massacre.
When did you first learn about our family history?
I believe I may have been 6 or 7 years old.
My cousin, Charles Christopher, grew up in Tulsa. His mother and my grandfather were siblings, children of W.D. Williams, a massacre survivor.
And then did you start questioning, like, what is this? Did you have the conversation with your mother then about what happened?
She never did really discuss it at all. It was all kind of buried under the carpet.
Was it talked about in the community at all?
It wasn't talked about whatsoever.
In the Black community, it said the pain was too deep and there was fear it could happen again.
In white Tulsa, the story of the massacre was intentionally suppressed for more than 50 years.
Scott Ellsworth is a Tulsa native and historian.
The white daily newspapers, the Tribune and the World, went out of their way never to mention it. Official records disappeared.
100 years later, the race massacre's history is now in the forefront, and the important story of resilience and rebuilding is being told. Danya Backus, CBS News, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No one was ever prosecuted or even punished for the massacre. On June 1st, the city of Tulsa will begin a full excavation and analysis of a potential mass gravesite. And coming up Monday, Gayle King will host a CBS News special, Tulsa 1921, An American Tragedy. The primetime special airs at 9 right here on THV 11. After nearly a year of restrictions, travelers are heading back to the sky this Memorial Day weekend. Details on that after the break.
And we have the potential for some severe storms tonight, with storms and showers possibly firing up as early as this afternoon. So I'll talk about when we can expect these to roll through. What are the main impacts we can expect with the severe weather threat tonight? That's coming up.